Well, it turns out Trump is done. It turns out that Trump is frustrated and cutting side deals with Hamas again. And the culmination of that side deal has unfolded in the release of Edon Alexander, the New Jersey resident, dual citizen. In the lead up to this actual negotiation with Hamas that Israel took no part. All right. Now let's get to the news. There is a special report. Hamas has released American hostage Edon Alexander. Donald Trump actually did something unique here. And after cutting talks with Israel and going directly to Hamas in the past, they did it again. Donald Trump and his team actually said, Israel, you are a major setback in these ceasefire negotiations. So fuck you. We're going directly to Hamas. And they did that, just like they directly went to the Ansar Allah movement to cut a side deal and a ceasefire with the Ansar Allah movement. If you recall, if you are fans of Drop Site News, as I am, and there is a lot being able to talk to Houthis directly and being able to talk to Hamas directly, being able to talk to Hezbollah and Palestinian Islamic Jihad directly. So shouts out to the Drop Site boys for constantly doing incredible coverage on that front. If you remember their reporting on the matter, the Ansar Allah movement told Drop Site News in an interview that they would stop blowing up American ships and attacking American naval vessels if America stopped bombing Yemen. Okay? This reporting was so important that I think personally, I'm speculating here, it played a role in the American government actually seeing that and going, okay, we can cut a side deal with them, because they literally ended up doing that. And the side deal that they cut in Oman was on the same boundaries that were presented in the Drop Site reporting a month prior, that they would not stop the blockade. They would not stop attacking Israel as long as Israel kept doing its genocide, but they would stop attacking American vessels, American Navy ships in the region if America stopped attacking Yemen, if America stopped bombing Yemen. And they did that. They cut a side deal with the Ansar Allah movement. And then Trump famously came out and said, Houthis are so brave. They're so courageous. They're so strong. I love them. Right. And then after that, a similar pattern is emerging with Israel. Okay. A similar pattern is now emerging with Israel, where the Trump administration, if you recall, had actually sidestepped Israel a couple months prior. They had another guy. I forget his name. What was the guy that talked directly to Hamas and Israel got him cut out? I forget his name. He was like a Trump envoy that basically went directly to Hamas and had a conversation directly with Hamas. And no, it wasn't Witkoff, chatters. Come on, it was the different guy. Not Witkoff. The Adam Baylor. Thank you, Muslim monk. Thank you. Adam Baylor. Adam Baylor was the one who famously talked to Hamas and then went to American news and straight up was like, hey, these guys are not fucking animals. Like, they're human beings. We can talk to them. And Israel lost their minds because the Trump administration a couple months ago, if you remember, was using this one guy, Adam Baylor, to directly talk to Hamas to release Edon Alexander, who is a New Jersey resident with a dual citizenship. He's an Israeli American who was captured on October 7th. Okay? He was a soldier. He's a prisoner of war. He was a part of the IDF and he got captured. And the Trump administration wanted to cut a side deal with Hamas to release him months. Okay? And Adam Baylor even went as far as to say, we're the United States. We're not an agent of Israel, right? And this frustrated the Israeli authorities so much that they basically backpocketed him. They cut him out. They were like, how dare you do this? How dare you communicate with Hamas without our go-ahead? How dare you communicate with Hamas without us? Well, it turns out Trump is done. It turns out that Trump is frustrated and cutting side deals with Hamas again. And the culmination of that side deal has unfolded in the release of Edon Alexander, the New Jersey resident, dual citizen, in the lead up to this actual negotiation with Hamas that Israel took no part in, by the way, Steve Witkoff openly said and wanted to leak to the press these statements. This is important. He wanted these statements to be heard by press. Steve Witkoff says the U.S. wants to return the hostages, but Israel is not ready to end the war. Israel is prolonging the war, even though we do not see where further progress can be made. The Trump administration knows very well that Israel is making this war last forever in order to keep Netanyahu in power and continue that Israel has lost Trump. Now, I don't think Israel has lost Trump entirely. I think that who knows what might happen. Miriam Adelson might actually make a phone call to Trump and be like, cut it out. What are you doing? You know, I gave you so much money. You asshole. Having said that, Trump is, one, hard to work with and gets frustrated fast when he feels like he's being manipulated. And obviously that classic Israeli arrogance and entitlement is, you know, he's only going to take so much of that until he goes, shut the up, okay? You're up the bag for me. He came into office saying he was going to end these wars. He's not getting the response from Ukraine and Russia because Russia is a foreign adversary that is also manipulating Trump. But he has a lot more power and a lot more motion over Israel, which would not be able to conduct these operations without America's go-ahead, without America's munitions. So I think he looks at the situation, he looks at all the chaos unfolding around the planet, and he goes, well, this is an area where I can actually put my weight down. I can actually put my foot down. And in the process, I think the Netanyahu administration annoyed him so much that he was just like, okay, we're going to do it ourselves then. And I think this was a big deal. This was a very big deal because it once again showed how much power America has. Because guess what? When America says we're talking to Hamas directly and we're extracting an Israeli American, and there are certain concessions that are going to take place in the process, Israel has to entertain that. No, you can't do that. As opposed to when France would try to do some shit like that, Israel could tell them to f off. Whereas they can't do that to the United States of America. And Biden had that power too. Never forget that. That's why I was so goddamn frustrated with this with the Biden administration lying at the behest of Israel, making it seem as though Biden was like having a stern talking to with Benjamin Netanyahu and that Netanyahu was not playing ball. Yeah, Netanyahu doesn't have to play ball. You can take the ball away. You are the United States of America. So ironically enough, they basically lost one of their biggest allies in the region, the Israeli government did, because you had a brain-dead, diehard Zionist who was indoctrinated into this process and was actually a loyal servant at that point. Like he just like truly was a fedayeen for Israel in a way that Trump is not. Because Trump at the end of the day is easily manipulated. Trump at the end of the day is hot-headed and will get mad. Trump at the end of the day will turn around and get a plane from Qatar and go, all right, well, I'll make nice with these boys, right? Just like Trump and his seeming loyalty to Israel comes from the pocket change that he got to the tune of $100 million previously from Sheldon Adelson, who is now dead, rest in piss, and now his wife, Miriam Adelson, who gave another $100 million this time around. So $100 million can buy a lot of influence in this administration. But that means that someone else with $150 million could also buy a lot of influence in the administration, right? So I think this is important. I think it's important that this deal happened because it basically shows the depravity of the Israeli government. It shows the depravity of the Israeli government to the Israeli society as a whole. It shows Israelis that wanted to, release these hostages because they want their family members back, that like this administration has no interest in this whatsoever. So this basically lights a fire under the asses of everybody that is involved in this process to be like, what the fuck is Netanyahu doing? This war cannot go on. And that they're too invested in death and destruction and not invested in like actually bringing back hostages when America can seemingly do so. And in the process, the Israeli government has said, we need to detox from American security arrangements. No, you won't, right? Here's senior fellow of Carnegie Endowment, Aaron David Miller, who had this assessment, and I kind of agree with it. A pattern is developing here. Trump outreach to Hamas twice, Houthi ceasefire and Iran negotiations, all uncoordinated with Israel, with the possible exception of Bush-Baker. All previous Republican Democrat administrations coordinated closely with Israel. No daylight policy. Not this one. Fascinating. Now, I don't know. I'm still very skeptical about this process. I will say personally that it's not a no daylight process. Maybe I'm too suspicious of Israel and how much power Israel has had in American foreign policy in the Middle East in the past, that like one man like Donald Trump is not going to be able to completely roll that back. But at the very least, the Trump administration is seemingly not shying away from demonstrating from Israel on a lot of these issues. Okay? Do you see what I'm saying?
The Middle East. NBC News can now confirm the last living American hostage being held in Gaza has been released. Idan Alexander now in Red Cross custody after nearly 600 days in captivity and heading home. He's 21 years old. He was born and raised in...
How does this administration's collaboration with Hamas converge with the administration's contempt for pro-Palestine protesters? Brother, they're not like pro-Hamas, but I do think that Israel is such a fucking arrogant and such an entitled ally that, yes, Hamas, that it even gets these people to see Hamas as the more reasonable, more restrained party because of Israel's behavior. Do you not understand? They're not pro-Hamas, but even they understand, like, yeah, we're going to probably get a better deal from Hamas than we will from Israel because they just want to fucking ethnically cleanse the entire strip. And we want to bring out like the American citizen. We want to put an end to this conflict because it looks bad, because it looks horrible. I mean, this is a meme, but like it's kind of real. This meme right here is like, honestly, I think something like this happened to Trump, which is why he's now negotiating with Hamas. It's like, yeah, if you deal with Israel long enough, if you recognize the way Israel operates, if you see it, if you see that pattern emerging, eventually you're going to be like, all right, I'll go with the guys that are more reasonable here, which is Hamas.
It was a good game. I thought in the beginning Israel was better, but now Mali is is destroying them, I think. Israel is not bad. Israel is not bad, but I think Mali is going to destroy them today. No, I'm just talking about football. I'm just talking about football. Okay? Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
This is literally just like this is a common pattern that has emerged throughout this past year and a half, where Israel does some insane, heinous shit, okay? And then its supporters loudly declare it as the best possible thing to do. Everybody goes, what the fuck are you saying? This is incredible violence. Like, how are you saying this? Like, I don't think we should be killing children like this. And they go, you're anti-Semitic. Fuck you. You are terrorist. You are terrorist. Police, arrest this man. No politics here. And it causes people to go, okay, fuck you. You know, free Palestine. Okay. They've basically pushed people into the hands of Hamas as the reasonable party. Remember, this is a guy that literally said he wanted to ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip. Like, that was his idea, okay? That was his brilliant idea, was like, yeah, let's just fucking cleanse it all. And a couple months later, now he's like, I'm done. You know, glory to the fucking Al-Qassam martyrs. Like, that's what he fucking went from being like, we should ethnically cleanse the entirety of the Gaza Strip to, inshallah, the martyrs of the Al-Qassam brigades will one day be seen as hailed as heroes over the course of like back and forth conversations with Israel. It's fucking insane. Yeah, he hit the may Allah awaken the people. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, also that, and shouts out to the fucking Qatar, the Qatari envoys in the process. Those boys played a big role in this, okay? Much respect and much love to Qatar with the $400 million jet that they're giving to Donald Trump, which will be gifted once the Trump administration is over to the Trump library, from what I understand, which, of course, is obviously a major fucking greasing operation, okay? The top blokes over at Qatar straight up were like, dog, fuck it. Last time we didn't play ball with you and we learned our lesson. Do you want a plane? I would love to give you a $400 million plane that you can fucking personally get out of the situation. And that got Trump going like this.
Allah awaken the people. and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
Yeah, straight up. What made Donald Trump such a loyal ally to Israel, which was how endlessly bribable he is, has also made him somewhat of a foe at times, okay? But once again, don't forget, I do believe personally that Trump is unstable, he's dangerous, he does not give a shit about anything, really. So I'm not holding out my breath on this. And I agree with Felix once again. He says, you know what? If this makes him force Israel to eat a shit sandwich and smile, it's an incredible idea, and I fully support it. Qatar does it again. Yeah. Like, shouts out to my fucking beautiful Qatari spenders out there. The Oilers, I love you. Shouts out to the fucking sheiks. Mwah. I love you. Thank you so much. Good job. Keep it up. Keep fucking greasing those goddamn wheels, okay? Keep it up, baby. Respect to all of my fucking Qatar funders. As you guys know, anytime someone subscribes, it's actually a Qatari emissary. You already know all my biggest Oilers, all my biggest greasers are the fucking, yeah, Barry Balls. Barry Balls all the way from Qatar. Shouts out to Al Jazeera. Shouts out to Qatar. Respect. You know, Qatari Cat with 100 gifted subs. You already know, baby. We got the family in here. Oh, yeah. Fuck it, dude. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know what I mean? This guy is like incredibly easy to fucking manipulate. They're going to bring this up next time you get detained. Yeah, I'm going to be like, yeah, Trump is the great peacemaker, and I love him. Does this news change your views on who would have been better on this issue, Kamala versus Trump? Again, I'm not holding my breath on this, okay? Zylax with another 100 gifted. Hasan's Art of the Deal with a 5 gifted. God damn, 100 bones. Let's go, baby. As I was saying, does this change so far? Both yes and no. Once again, we don't know where this will go. I do not know what Trump will do, okay? I do not know what Trump will do. And I'm very, very skeptical about like Trump caring about the well-being of. He is getting hard in the corner with all the possible out of context clips he can get. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? I don't think he understands that if the motherfucking Trump administration arrests me, like that's not going to magically make people like him. That's going to make people despise him even further. Okay. Like that's cat's out of the bag on that one, you know? There's no recovery there. But yeah, I don't give a fuck who does it, just end the genocide. Exactly. That's how I feel about it. That's where I'm at on this. The Hamas statement shows how different Witkoff is being compared to the Israelis. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. While Biden earned, Matthew Petty says, Biden was incredibly effective at his actual goal, buying Netanyahu infinite time for the war, but that required Biden to pretend to be hapless. Matt Duss, by the way, is executive vice president at CI Policy, and he is Bernie's former foreign policy advisor for Bernie Sanders. And Center for International Politics is policy is like a anti-war hawk think tank basically, and they do pretty good work. So Matt Duss says it's really something to watch Trump handle Netanyahu more effectively than the alleged foreign policy expert Joe Biden did, and this is true. So far, he's been able to implement a ceasefire, and also on top of that, he's been able to. He's been able to basically cut a side deal and piss off the Israeli administrators in the process, and is not afraid of stepping on toes in that regard. And I think that's ultimately a good thing. Okay. Jeremy Scahill talked about how Trump's actions are being interpreted inside of Israel. We'll talk about that in a second. But first and foremost, let's get to Duss is fine as long as it's not about Russia/China law. Yeah, I don't know his takes on China, but in any case, this is from the Izzad Din al-Qassam Brigades, released a captured Israeli soldier, Idan Alexander, a U.S. citizen, a short while ago, following contacts with the U.S. administration. This comes as a part of the efforts being made by mediators to achieve a ceasefire, open the crossings, and allow aid and relief to reach our people in the Gaza Strip. The reason why Hamas did this was because they wanted to do a show of good faith to the Trump administration, because the Trump administration was willing and able to talk to them separately from Israel. This is the reason why they did this. So if you're asking, like, what was the purpose of this? Like, Israel is still not allowing aid in. Israel's not allowing this. Israel's not doing anything. And Israel has said over and over again that we're not going to change course here. We are in the business of ethnically cleansing the Gaza Strip. They have openly said it at this point, time and time again. You don't have to read the tea leaves, okay? You could just listen to Benjamin Netanyahu, who says, we do not give a fuck about the hostages. Hostages are low priority. The highest priority is cleansing the Strip, making it unlivable, okay? Understand this. Everything that we have said, everything that I have said for the past 15, 16 months, these guys are now openly stating. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu at the Knesset Foreign Affairs and Security Committee. The Gazans we remove will not return. They won't be there. We will control the place. There is no other war target. Any other target is just bluff. He has openly stated this. Okay? His only goal is to ethnically cleanse the fucking Gaza Strip. They are saying it actively. They're saying it openly. They're saying it in real time. It is no longer something that you can act like it's not happening. Of course, there's very little coverage in the Western world on this stuff, but you know they have moved on to at least this kind of thing. New York Times doing 6 deadly minutes. How Israeli soldiers killed 15 rescue workers in Gaza. Like, there is a tide shift in mainstream media as well. There's a tide shift in the State Department, the way that they're examining their relationship with Israel, and they're accompanying that with mainstream press, because the New York Times is the #1 Hasbara operation that has legitimacy, right? And the reason their visual investigations team has always been fantastic. Shouts out to Eric Toller. Shouts out to all the people that work in visual investigations in the forensics department in both Washington Post and also New York Times. As I've told you time and time again, these guys actually do incredible work, real journalism. But their regular news reporting team on the Israel side has always been incredibly limited and always engaged in defending Israel, burying the lead, omitting key details, never really covering incredibly important things that are happening in Israel, like the rape riots or any number of different things. Like the other day, there was new CCTV footage that came out of concentration camp guards literally raping a Palestinian in front of cameras. That didn't get any sort of fucking coverage from the Western press. But this kind of stuff is new. Okay. And it's happening because I think there is a sea change. There is an attitude shift in the State Department. In the they're re-examining the relationship that they have with Israel. Okay. Also, here's a meme I posted. I said, how do I describe it to an ICE agent what this means when he sees the meme in my photo library? All right, let's get to the news reporting on American hostage Eden Alexander being released.
In Jersey. He also holds Israeli citizenship and was serving in the Israeli army when he was taken by Hamas during the October 7th attacks.
Yeah, by the way, they talk about him like they talk about this guy like, listen, I'm sorry. They talk about this guy as though he is like a hostage that was just minding his own fucking business. Like, brother, he is a volunteer war criminal. Okay. He is a soldier in the Israeli occupying force. I'm sorry. That's not the same as like taking a hostage from a fucking kibbutz. Okay. He was abducted from a tank. The very fact, no. This isn't, I don't think I don't think Edon was abducted from a tank. I think was this the guy that got abducted from a tank? I thought that there was another guy that they said was abducted from a tank. By the way, kidnapped from a tank is an insane statement. Okay. But no, I thought he was like I thought he was as a gate guard or something. This is a prisoner of war. Okay. This is a prisoner of war. The framing, I don't think he was actually taken out of the tank. Yeah, Matan Angris was the tank guy. This guy, hostage Matan Angris, decided in April to release the video of his abduction from his tank. You cannot be abducted from a fucking tank, dude. You're in a goddamn tank. You can't use the term abduction when talking about a dude in a fucking tank. Okay? That's not a kidnapping. That is a prisoner of war. Okay? That is a legal prisoner of war. You're fucking insane. But this is not that guy. This is a different guy. He was also a volunteer, okay? He grew up in New Jersey and volunteered to join the Israel Defense Forces out of high school and was reportedly serving near the Gaza border during the attack. Yes, he was A prisoner of war. He was captured from a concrete outpost near the Gaza wall. Exactly. So the idea that this guy was you know, poor guy, civilian, fucking these Hamas rapists like barbarically kidnapped him is fucking ridiculous. Words mean things. You know what I mean? Hamas released him in Adidas. First image of Hamas handing over hostage Eden Alexander to the Red Cross. This relates to how language is used to describe hostages versus prisoners. Yeah. Co-host of MSNBC's The Weekend, primetime Catherine Rampel, asked Pulitzer Prize-winning Palestinian author Mossab Abu Toha if he would like to clarify a Facebook post he wrote months ago about the Israeli soldier Emily Damari, who was captured by Palestinian resistance fighters during the October 7 attacks. Damari, recently freed, had expressed outrage at Abu Toha's Pulitzer. In a letter to the Pulitzer board, she wrote, "He posted about me on Facebook and asked, how on earth is this girl being called a hostage?" Abu Toha, a poet and survivor of the Israeli detention, was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for commentary for his dispatches from Gaza in The New Yorker, chronicling life under bombardment and siege. His recognition marked a rare acknowledgement of Palestinian narratives in U.S. media. Yeah, I'm sorry. You are a fucking soldier. You are an illegal enemy combatant participating in an exterminationist government's genocidal policies. When you getting kidnapped is out of the question. You're not kidnapped. You are a prisoner of war in that process. If we can't consider Israeli occupying force soldiers to be enemy combatants, that when they get actually detained, we don't think about them as fucking prisoners of war, what the fuck are we doing? Anyway, also, this guy is awesome. And Martin Scorsese posted with him, which made me really happy. But that's totally separate. Let's take a look.
Congratulations, first of all, on your win. I'm very sorry for everything you and your family continue to go through. Your win is not without controversy, obviously, and in particular, some comments you've made in the past about the Israeli hostages have been very controversial, where you have said that most of the hostages...
Like, can you... Dude, imagine having a Holocaust survivor on a media broadcast to be like, hey, you said something really mean about SS troopers. You said, and the mean thing is basically that it is totally valid to fucking apprehend them and to stop them from doing murder, right? Like, can you imagine? What the fuck? After this person wins a Pulitzer for their dispatch as being a survivor of a live stream genocide. It's fucking insane.
Held by Hamas are not actually hostages. I believe you specifically singled out Emily Damari.
Yes, Amy Cesar is correct. What Europe couldn't forgive Hitler wasn't what he did. It was what he did to the white man is unironically so prescient in this moment to think about.
A 28-year-old who was kidnapped from her home and held for 471 days and lost 2 fingers. I'm just wondering, is there anything you want to clarify about those comments?
First of all, I did not question her status as a hostage, because she's a hostage, but because what other Palestinians who were kidnapped. I mean, I don't want to name people, but I have people in my family who were kidnapped from checkpoints, from schools, from shelters, and they are named prisoners. So my question was, why should Emily and other hostages be named hostages while my loved ones should be named prisoners? So that was the question. I've never denied anyone suffering. I know that everyone is suffering, Israelis and Palestinians. But why are our sufferings not acknowledged? Why are we called terrorists? Why are we called prisoners of war? While the Israelis who were kidnapped from Israel are named hostage. Does this give them more humanity because they are Israelis, while my loved ones are being named prisoners and they are tortured? I mean, I myself, by the way, I was kept hostage for 53 hours. I was blindfolded and handcuffed and was beaten in my face and asked for the Israeli soldiers to see a doctor, and they denied me any medical treatment. So no one is talking about this. Why? They are not acknowledging my suffering. So I have this privilege of being called a hostage, while I am called in all the social, in all news platforms, I was detained. I was a prisoner. Why? Am I less human?
Misinformation that Trump Allah awakened the people was an edit is misinformation. Yeah, no shit, chatter. Do you think that the Dune song started playing in the fucking auditorium after he said that? No, it's clipped because he's restating what Ilhan Omar had said. But we like to have we like to meme around a little bit around these parts. Like, I didn't. That's crazy that you thought that that was like something that he genuinely said, like sincerely said. That's hilarious. It's real to me, damn it. Okay. I will not have this questioned. Donald Trump genuinely said that. He said that, and he was actually being real when he said that.
Than anyone else. So that was the question. It was not the question that she was not kidnapped, that she was not tortured. I did not talk about any of this.
Well, you did criticize some Western outlets for humanizing the hostages.
Because we are not humanized.
Well, I guess my question to you is, wouldn't the better approach to be to humanize everyone, to treat all humans?
Do you know what I'm going through every day?
I cannot
do you know how
imagine.
many members of my family were killed?
Oh, I can't deal with this. I can't, like, these people are fucking barbaric in the way that they shamelessly dehumanize people, dehumanize Palestinians to their faces. It's like, wow, why don't you have more grace for people who have participated in a military campaign against you? Like, all lives matter. All lives matter directly to the face of someone who is victim. Anyway, once again, Common Scorsese W. This made me really happy. To celebrate Mosa Bobotoa's new Pulitzer, the stars came out left and right. Himself and his wife, Maram, Judith Thurman, unnamed filmmaker, and me. Many hoots were had. Unnamed filmmaker. Unnamed filmmaker. I mean, that's a joke. Obviously, she's saying that as a joke, but that made me really fucking stoked. That is cool as hell, dude. That is cool as fuck. Seeing Martin Scorsese show support like this, whoo, that is amazing. Yeah. That is cinema, okay? That is fucking kino. That's cinema. I love that. All right, let's get back to Eden Alexander now.
Hamas is believed to still hold the bodies of 4 Israeli Americans. Let's get right to NBC's Hala Garani, who is live for us in Tel Aviv with the latest.
By the way, after Eden, there are still 20 hostages, prisoners of war, that are still in the hands of Hamas, and a total number of, I believe, 58 now. The rest are dead, and Israel is refusing to deal with Hamas, and also has implemented the starvation campaign, as we talked about already. It's more than 2 months now where famine has reached critical levels in the Strip. They're not letting in any fucking aid. And I think the reason why Hamas cut this side deal as a show of good faith to the Americans was because they think that Americans will actually put an end to this ethnic cleansing. Hopefully they're right.
We've seen cheers erupt in New Jersey, Hala, and in Israel, where you are, we expect to see this handover occur any minute.
Right. We understand that the Red Cross and Red Crescent convoy carrying Eden Alexander Halle is now on its way out of the Gaza Strip. From there, Eden will be transported to Re'im Air Base.
Dude, don't say dumb shit like this. Just finish watching the VOD to catch up with your detainment stuff. Just crazy. I'm deleting the Twitch app and Discord from my phone when I travel to the US. I'm Canadian. Don't want them associating with me and you in any way. Shut the fuck up, chatter. That is literally what the goal is here, okay? They're not going to do shit to you. Suck my dick. Calm the fuck down. Don't even joke about stuff like that. It doesn't work that way, okay? Like, that's insane. It doesn't fucking work that way.
Via chopper, and he will be meeting up and reuniting with his loved ones, Yael Alexander, his mother, as well as his father and other family members in that airbase. He will then be taken to Ichilov Hospital in Tel Aviv. 584 days. The deal that led to the release of Eden Alexander, interestingly, was struck as a result of direct negotiations between the Trump administration and Hamas, bypassing the Israeli government and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We understand that there is a possibility that Eden Alexander, if he is well enough, will...
By the way, here's another fucking insane thing that took place. If you recall, Netanyahu freaked out when Trump's team initiated direct talks with Hamas for Eden Alexander, and then they fucking targeted the site where Eden was being held, raising new questions about its use of the Hannibal Directive to kill hostages in Gaza and thereby reduce the main priority of political leverage for Hamas. Since October 7, Israel has killed dozens of Israeli citizens in Gaza, and there's every reason to believe that it is done according to official Hannibal Directive orders. Like, now they're stating, oh, maybe Hamas was lying. Maybe Hamas was lying about that, that bombing campaign that took place. We don't know, but just letting you know. We'll find out. We'll find out now that Eden has been released if he actually was under threat or not.
With President Trump, who a tour of Gulf Arab states in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, as well as the UAE. Idan Alexander, the last living American hostage, and as you mentioned, 4 other hostages deceased are still inside of the besieged enclave. Their bodies have not been returned by Hamas to their loved ones. We believe that potentially there had been a possibility that these bodies would also be sent back along with Idan Alexander, but it doesn't appear to be the case. So Idan right now in ICRC custody, soon to be handed over to Israeli special forces and then reunited with his family, Hallie.
We're keeping an eye on that helicopter there in Reem in southern Israel, all as President Trump, Hala, as you mentioned, is getting ready to head to the region himself. To be clear, Hala, we don't know the condition of Idan Alexander, correct? Nobody's seen him. It's not clear how he's doing.
Correct. And it's interesting to note that we did not have these ceremonies that we saw in previous hostage exchanges with, the certificates given to hostages who were released by Hamas. This could be because the United States asked Hamas not to put on a propaganda show. We don't exactly know why, but it is very different to the previous hostage releases. We don't know what condition he's in. The last proof of life video came out last April. There was one in November where he directly appealed to President Donald Trump for his release. We know that if he goes to Ichilov Hospital in Tel Aviv, it means he doesn't need immediate care, because if he needs immediate medical attention, it will be given to him at the airbase, we understand, Hallie.
Hala, I'm going to ask you to stand by for a moment. I want to get to Gabe Gutierrez, who is live for us at the White House. And you heard Hala mention, Gabe, this is the result of apparently direct talks between the Trump administration and Hamas. And in just the last couple of seconds here, we've received a statement from Hamas confirming, in fact, that Idan Alexander has been released by them after contact with the American administration, with the Trump administration here. All of this essentially to unlock perhaps the steps toward a ceasefire and more humanitarian aid flowing into Gaza.
Yes, certainly, Hallie. The administration is selling this as a major foreign policy win. And we heard from President Trump just a short time ago here at the White House at the Roosevelt Room, where he was asked questions about this deal. The president saying that this hostage release was imminent. Now, he just departed the White House en route to that major international trip that you just mentioned, this trip to the Middle East, where he's heading to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, and also the United Arab Emirates. There was some talk about whether the president might potentially be going to Israel during this trip, but he said no, he was not. And Hallie, what you've been discussing is very interesting. In this hostage release, the president and his administration bypassing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and from NBC's reporting, we have learned over the last several weeks there has become an increasingly strained relationship between the White House and Benjamin Netanyahu. President Trump, according to sources, apparently frustrated with the military offensive that Netanyahu has started back up again in Gaza. And also, Netanyahu was apparently shocked when President Trump announced a ceasefire with the Houthis, of course, that Iran-backed militant group in Yemen. The White House coming to an agreement with the Houthis that they would no longer attack U.S. forces. However, the Houthis did not make that same agreement to Israel, and now Netanyahu has vowed to defend himself. But again, this comes after a big weekend that the White House is trying to sell after several developments, not just in this, but also a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, and also the temporary trade deal that was struck over the weekend with China regarding tariffs, Hallie.
I want to point out to folks what you're seeing on your screen here. The left side, Tenafly, New Jersey, you are seeing people applauding there, holding up the Israeli flag. We saw cheers erupt when word came through that Idan Alexander, who of course was born and raised in New Jersey, he's from there, was in Red Cross custody. On the right side, that is a live shot looking at that helicopter there in southern Israel. And Hala, the timing of all this is particularly interesting, as Israel had been planning to ramp up its offensive on the ground in Gaza.
Yes, indeed. And Israel had said, when the Security Cabinet unanimously voted to expand its offensive inside the Gaza Strip, it has to be said, not a decision that is very popular in Israel, and certainly not among hostage families, that they would executing that plan if a ceasefire deal was struck between Hamas and Israel. Now, this is not one of those deals. This is a U.S.-Hamas agreement that led to the release of just one American hostage. It is not a deal that calls calls for a ceasefire. In fact, Israel even said they are not going to stop bombing the Gaza Strip, that they would just facilitate some sort of...
Is it better now? I lowered the exposure myself, but I guess it wasn't enough because the lights keep coming in and out. But I think it's better, yeah. All right. Go for a walk? Okay. Yo, if you can... Well, no, I was going to say, can you give me Zins? Sixers, like get a sleeve. If I didn't have time to... I didn't... Well, you're going on a walk anyway. What's up?
You almost got...
What would happen if I got... What would happen if I got detained? What are you going to do in that situation? You're like, I don't know this motherfucker at all. Sir, I have no idea who this guy is. If you can give me a sleeve of Sixers of coffee or citrus, but coffee preferred. Oh, yeah, here. Turn the angelic background back on. No, it's fine. This is good. Proper term for a sleeve is a log. I work with Kat's campaign. I can't go to Kat's campaign. I can't do that today. I'm literally, in a couple hours, I'm going to be heading over to University of Chicago to do a speech. Okay, I love Kat. I think she's wonderful. She's fantastic, but I can't do that today. I'm barely getting through a couple news stories before
corridor to get Ida Alexander out. So we are not there yet. We don't know really. Certainly the hostage families and Palestinians, of course, as well, really hope that this is the case, that this will lead to some sort of hostage prisoner exchange and a long-lasting truce, Hallie.
And there had been some pressure on the Israeli government, Hala, for months now with these demonstrations in what's called Hostage Square there in Tel Aviv. I've seen them in my time in Israel.
The Israeli Air Force resumes airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, Palestinian media reports, after a pause of several hours during the release of hostage soldier Idan Alexander. The IDF limited its activity in Gaza to enable the release of Alexander. That's fucking... Dude. The other side of the story is that this lights a fire under the asses of all of the... Israelis that have been protesting against Benjamin Netanyahu. The number of protesters that are against the genocide is growing as well, which is crazy. That obviously is super, super marginal. Let's be real. But the standing together style liberal Zionists have even started demonstrating for Palestinians, which is new. It's unique. It's certainly growing. It's still again, minuscule percentage of the Israeli Jewish population, but nonetheless, every day that number is growing, and it's important. Here, every damn day at Jerusalem, anti-war protests featuring images of Gazan children, even as the IDF is striking hard in Gaza again tonight, following the release of Eden Alexander. And not only that, but the number of release the hostages people that hate Netanyahu is exploding. Okay. So there is a lot of anger and a lot of resentment as Benjamin Netanyahu actively states his overall goals for the quote unquote war, which is just genocide and permanent occupation of the Gaza Strip.
I know you have as well, as people in Israel had wanted the Netanyahu government to do more to try to get these hostages out.
Well, it's interesting. I was at...
Guy who got released is refusing to meet Netanyahu. Yeah, I wonder why. Because Netanyahu tried to kill him, dude. What do you mean? Like, I wouldn't want to either. Report, Eden Alexander suffered severe torture in captivity, was kept handcuffed in a cage, is what Times of Israel is saying. Like, and Al Jazeera is stating that he doesn't want to meet Benjamin Netanyahu. Who knows? Maybe he will. Okay? Maybe he will. We'll see. The most annoying type of person, speaking from personal experience, are those who support Netanyahu's war essentially unconditionally every step of the way, but also demand hostages be returned, basically saying the Hamas are the only ones responsible for what's happening and Israel is both not doing enough, but shouldn't change anything that they're doing. Yeah. Can you show us what U.S. Customs saw on your phone? I didn't give them my phone.
Hostage Square today, and I spoke with the father of a soldier who is still in Hamas captivity inside of the Gaza Strip. And family after family has been telling us that they want President Trump to put pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu, because they believe, many of them, that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, is restarting this war for political and not strategic reasons, that he believes that if he stops the war, the extreme right-wing members of his coalition government will abandon him and his government will fall, and he will have to face some of these legal problems and criminal trials that essentially threaten his political career and, in fact, his freedom, if indeed he is not in power anymore. And so that is kind of interesting that you have this timing.
Is it? They've been saying that. What's interesting is now you're covering it, American news. It's not interesting that Israeli society's been saying that. They've written letters. In the last ceasefire negotiations, there were hostage family members that wrote direct letters that were reported in Israeli media and got very little coverage in American media that stated directly not only that Benjamin Netanyahu was spoiling the fucking negotiations, but that his ambitions were for permanent war. And also on top of that, they literally singled out the policies, the spoiler provisions that Benjamin Netanyahu added last second. This wasn't like brilliant foreign policy analysts. This was just directly the fucking hostage families that wrote letters that were reported on in Israeli media that stated that Benjamin Netanyahu's last-minute erroneous decision, irresponsible decision to refuse to remove troops from the Philadelphia corridor is directly done so that they can never engage in real, honest ceasefire discussions to take the hostages out. They wrote this. They said it. The Israeli hostage family said it. It's not new. It's not unique. It's not shocking. And it's only shocking if you are in this insane misinformation bubble where you're not paying close attention to anything that's going on, or rather, you're omitting key details in your coverage in an effort to make it seem like what Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign is actually seemingly a justifiable campaign in and of itself. It's not.
When it is, when you have this release of a hostage taking place without the prime minister having been involved in the negotiations and only, we understand, informed of the result of the negotiations after the fact.
Let me go back to Gabe there, who is at the White House for us. And Gabe, it is still a question mark as to whether President Trump may meet with Idan Alexander, depending on his condition, may meet with members of the Alexander family who we know have traveled and made their way to the region here. Talk us through what we expect to see from the president this week, as his administration, his top envoy here to the Middle East, has described this as just a tremendous victory, not just obviously for the Alexander family, but for the president himself.
Yeah, certainly Steve Witkoff, that envoy to the Middle East, been extremely busy over the last several weeks and months, not just with the war in Gaza, but also the war in Ukraine as well. But as you said, Idan Alexander's family potentially could meet President Trump later on this week in Qatar. Unclear if that will happen or not. We understand that that will be up to Alexander's family, as well as a condition of Idan now that he's been released. But this is a major foreign trip, Hallie, for President Trump, the first of his second term. This international trip will include Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and also the United Arab Emirates. And as I was mentioning earlier, trade will be a big part of this trip. Also, we understand from White House officials that the president going there to seek deals with those countries in the Middle East, and we expect that to come up again through over the next couple of days. But there's a lot of controversy as well that we've been hearing over the last day or so. President Trump agreeing to accept a multi-million-dollar, hundreds of million-dollar jumbo jet from the Qatari government to serve potentially as the next Air Force One, and then be given to President Trump's presidential library. So we expect questions about that to come up over the next couple of days. Again, we just heard from President Trump a short time ago here at the White House, the president trying to make the case that he would be a, quote, stupid person to reject that jumbo jet because it was a gift from the Qatari government. Still questions, though, about whether there could be security implications as well from that gift. But back to this trip, Hallie, the White House is...
Yo, I love that. I think haters need to... yeah, what's good? I think haters need... Oh, you did? You are... Oh, I love you. Oh my God. Hell yeah. Damn, that's crazy. Worse timing not to have your MAGA hat, bro. I know. This is I need to pack a MAGA hat for security purposes anyway when I'm like getting through customs, but I need it right now. I need it for this fucking moment. Like I need it for this moment. Let me tell you something, okay? I do not give a fuck. I can't believe I'm saying this. I do not give a fuck about Donald Trump getting bribed by the Qatar government, okay? Straight up. Bribe away, my friend. Bribe the fuck away, okay? If it's going to play a formative role in Donald Trump seeing Arabs as human beings and maybe even playing a role in him like managing this situation a little bit better, oh, I'm nutting, okay? Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so amazing. Fuck yes. Please bribe away. I have never been more pro bribery than at this fucking moment. This bribe was just made public. That's the only difference in this issue. Oh, it's so good. It's so fucking good. How come Israel gets to fucking grease the wheels on a daily fucking basis, but Qatar is not allowed to? Suck my dick, okay?
Thrilled to see this hostage release. This is something that they have been working for quite some time, the last remaining American hostage, and they point to what they see as not just they point to what they see as a successful negotiation on the part of the administration, and certainly we expect to hear more from the president about these developments as they unfold throughout the day. The president, again, currently on his way to Saudi Arabia as we speak. Callie.
Gabe, thank you. You are looking live now at a small gathering of people along the side of the road there in southern Israel in Reem. That is where the helicopter is awaiting the Red Cross, which is bringing Idan Alexander back from the Gaza Strip into Israel. He will then be taken to that hospital in Tel Aviv, which is where we find our Hala Garani. And Hala, what does this mean now for the potential for the chances of a ceasefire moving forward?
Well, it's difficult to say because this was more of a one-off, it seems, than the result of any kind of long-term strategic discussion between the two sides. After all, Prime Minister Netanyahu was not involved in this. His negotiators were not involved in this. The U.S. administration and the Trump envoys were talking directly to Hamas. Will this put pressure on the Prime Minister of Israel to potentially back off and cancel or postpone the offensive that his security cabinet voted unanimously to carry out? Or will he believe that for his political survival, this is something that he needs to do? Those are all open questions, Hallie.
Many questions still remaining as we continue to follow this breaking news from out of the Middle East. Hala Garani, live for us in Tel Aviv. Thank you. Our thanks to Gabe Gutierrez, live at the White House as well. We will continue to monitor, of course, as the last living American hostage believed to be held in Gaza is now on his way to freedom.
Trump takes reporters' questions at press briefing after. We'll obviously cover this as well. I actually watched this live today when I was at the gym. Oh, my God. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my freaking Lord. Oh, Lordy. So obviously we got the tariffs. I'm not done with this, the U.S. Israel decoupling a little bit, but one more thing to talk about with Biden, because a lot of people are asking me, hey, what do you think? What do you think about like Kamala Harris now? And the reality of the matter is I've said the same thing that I said last time around, which is that, yes, Donald Trump being a brash